Hi YouTube, Extreme Trains here. I've been looking for this set for quite some time at a reasonable price because it was never released in Australia, but I actually thought it was kind of cool and it has quite a lot of nice exclusive pieces in it that I think will look really nice, especially because I've been using my Thomas Wood now as my default Christmas tree train. So, speaking of it, what are we talking about? We're talking about this, which is the Snowy Rail set, which is from the 2018 kind of unpainted Thomas Wood era. I've had quite a lot of difficulty tracking this down, and I finally found it for what I thought was a semi-reasonable price on Amazon in the middle of everything crazy that's happening. So it took a quite long time to ship. I thought they might have cancelled it, but no, it did come all the way from Amazon US to here. So what are we waiting for? Let's take a look. Expect from these Thomas Wood sets, which are pretty much the same even in the new painted ones. Obviously just the detailing is different, but you get an idea of everything that's going on here. You get a picture of the layout on the side, and I'm quite curious to see what this layout actually looks like. You see you get a nice loop of track, you get the tree, you get the little shed, and you get the crane, which I think is really nice. And the bridge piece, so you actually think you get a decent amount of accessories in this, which is quite nice. What I'm curious to see is what this printed track looks like. You get all this blah blah down the bottom, that picture with a bunch of stuff that we never actually saw released. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, come up here to the Snowy Rails. If you want to pause that now so you can actually read that, you are more than welcome to. I think it's interesting. Again, it's weird. I think it's interesting they mentioned salt too. Like it's a... I don't even know if it's ever been mentioned in Thomas and Friends that you use salt to melt ice on the tracks. I don't even know if you use salt to melt ice on train tracks. I thought they used sand. Maybe that's when it rains. I don't know. But it's weird. Like, I would have thought a winter set maybe would have had like Christmas tree delivery or, cake or something. It's Thomas and Friends. They usually put weird stuff in their sets, especially Thomas Wood has had some really weird cargo sets. But no, this one is actually quite like realistic-ish. This is interesting. I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it was just like they'd already taken the photo and then they realized afterwards that, oh no, the kid has like stuffed around the order of James and the trucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of what that looks like. That's that on the bottom. Then the side gets 17 play pieces, but like 2 of them are those pieces. So, okay. Weird. Also curious to see like if this track is apparently included in this tunnel, but we're going to find that out all in a minute. Alright, so we can kind of see here all the stuff we get in the set, and it's actually pretty nice, which I wasn't expecting to say about a Thomas Wood set, but alas it is. Get a really brief instruction sheet, which just has this on one side, and then it has this on this side, so it's not very exciting, don't care about that. The first thing I want to look at, though, is the James, so let's come in closer so we can see him a bit better. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we can see James here is, the classic first edition Thomas Wood James, which we all said was really weird looking. Has a weird face. Don't really like that very much. But it is nice to see the snowflake design. And it's nice to see that there's a couple of different types of snowflakes too. So I think that's kind of nice. And I think it's, could they have done a bit more in terms of like maybe making some icicles hanging off? Yes. Does this I still get across the whole snow aspect? Also yes. So I think that's fine. Again, the tenders, we've talked about these in previous reviews and how bad they are, but what we're looking at here is the differences. And you can see we've got Snowy James' tender written under here, and we've also got Snowy James written on top here. We'll be upside down, but that's okay. But yeah, so those together look relatively nice. I think it gets across the image pretty well and kind of achieves what it's trying to achieve, which is good. The next thing is obviously going to be the rock salt car. You've just got the boring thing, and it's just literally called a cargo car here, so that's just the same as what we've had for a long time. Nothing exciting there. The rock salt car is the same as all the other containers in Thomas Wood, which is that they have printing on 2 sides and no other sides. Again, like, this is a bit silly, and again, it's confusing. It's called rock salt, but then it has like snow on the side. Like, what is going on there? Why? How confusing. I don't know. I reckon that's weird, but that's fine. The next thing you get is a bunch of these curve track pieces. Again, you can really see the variation in the wood colors here. No Photoshop, that's exactly what it looks like, which I think is pretty wild, but anyway. But you can see this is what the pattern looks like with the snow. I think they're all the same. Yes, they're all the same. So they all have that same pattern on them, which I think, again, it's like a little bit lazy, especially because it's just on this middle part. but it's definitely nicer than nothing. I think they could have very easily done a snowy rail set and literally not painted the tracks at all. So it's kind of nice, I guess, that they've done that, which is something. And in this case, something's better than nothing. And again, the plain underside of these Thomas Wood pieces. So that's what the curved pieces look like. You also get this kind of built-in bridge piece, which again has the snow on it. Let's see if it's the same as the straight pieces, the printing on there. I believe it is. Yes, so the printing is the same on both this piece, which has the little bridge things screwed into it, which is kind of cool. And then also, although again, it's like flat, so sad. And then we also get just 2 of the normal straight pieces, which just look like this. We also get the tree, which again, I actually think looks quite nice. It looks less dumb than some of those other printed pieces we've got because it's actually printed on 2 sides. Shocking, I know. Yep, we get 2 of these plastic adapters. Yikes. We get this tunnel piece, which is actually really nice. Like, I was not expecting it to be this nice, but it really is. It's a shame there's no printing on this part here, like even just a stone arch or something. But it's nice to see. It's all wood. It's got that's a really nice, I think it's a nice, colorful, realistic kind of deco. I mean, like, the idea of there being windows is a bit strange, but whatever. And again, this is where they've leaned into the snow a bit more and put those snow details, which would have been nice to see, I think, on James, but that's that. No snow printing on this tunnel piece, which actually makes sense, right? Because it's a tunnel, so there shouldn't be snow inside. So that's cool. And that is the same length as just one of the normal Thomas Wood straight pieces. The last thing you get is this crane, which is the thing that has the most plastic out of any of the things in the set. So you can see that the whole legs are plastic and the little arm is plastic. The arm doesn't move up and down, but it does turn 360 degrees, and it's pretty stiff. So it's not going to move by accident, which is nice. And then you have a big red knob and a big magnet piece, and so you can guess what this does. And it's one of those ones where you just keep winding it, and once it gets to the bottom, it's got to the bottom now. So just as a bit of a test, we can see that it gets really close to the ground, which is good. It means you can actually pick. Unlike that other crane, which I remember talking about, didn't really work very well. This one, at least, you can go all the way to the ground. And then you can lift something back up relatively easily, which is good. So it actually does work like it's supposed to. It is one of those cranes too where you wind it all the way to the bottom and then it just automatically winds up to the top, which is nice. The other thing is that it's actually quite stiff. So it's really hard to pull on the string to make this turn, which is good because it means that if you want to do something like silly, like this, you can. The weight of James, for example, isn't actually going to see, the crane isn't unwinding, even though it's got a whole engine attached to it. So that's good. I like that. I think it means it's more playable when they do stuff like that. So that is good. So far, the actual individual components of this set are pleasantly surprising. Now I'm going to put it together. So you can see you actually end up with a semi-decent looking little layout. I think they've done a good balance of stuff happening because you've got this and this and this. So this is nice. Putting this together has made me realize how much I hate Thomas Wood Track. It just goes together, feels so yuck and unsatisfying when you put it together, but that's okay. In terms of a loop, it's really not that big. For reference, like here's my hand. So it's not a huge loop of track, but it is, I think, given the size of the set and the price of the set, something that's relatively reasonable. As you can see, obviously the play is just like this, but look, I've accidentally pulled James off the track because that Thomas Wood Track just sucks so much. Like, I've forgotten how stiff and clunky it is to try and get these engines around the bends. The straights are alright, but those curves are just at a really weird angle, and I don't like it at all. You just play around like this. You can get, the tunnel is short enough so that you can easily get your fingers around it, which is really good. And as said, the crane doesn't really have anywhere to go. You can just put it wherever you like, which I think is good. It means you have plenty of flexibility. You can quite easily pick up some cargo and move it around. So as a complete set, it actually isn't too bad, especially by Thomas Wood standards. I think it's got more functionality than, for example, the figure 8 set, which we've already had a look at. And it definitely has more functionality than that stupid Switch set, which I've talked about as well, given that it's actually got a complete loop of track. So that's definitely a bonus. But yeah, it does seem to me like I think you kind of get the vibe pretty well. It would have been nice if there'd been some more of these trees, like even just 2 more, so you had 3. So you could kind of create a bit of a scenery, because then you can also do stuff like this. And if you wanted to deliver a Christmas tree, you can do that. So I think that would have been nice to have, but I'm glad they included at least one. And then, yeah, while we've still got these included, their usefulness is obviously super duper limited and they look like garbage. So there's that. But yeah, otherwise, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this set. So what's going to come down to then, aside from the whole like wood thing, which I think is the other thing to note, this set actually, I think, could belong in Thomas Wooden Railway. Like the building, I think, has the appropriate amount of detail, and that tunnel is really well detailed. The tree has the same level of detail. The truck has the same level of detail. It's just literally the engine. If you put a normal engine in here, this could be a Thomas Wooden Railway set for real. So that's something I think worthwhile thinking about. But yeah, what's going to come down to is the price. All right, so this set actually plays pretty well. It comes with the right amount of, I think, features, and it's a decent size. So the real question is price. So I paid 65 Australian dollars for this, which included free shipping because I have Amazon Prime. So the reason I've spent so long waiting to get this item is because it's fluctuated. Sometimes it's $90, sometimes it was there was one time it was $40 and I missed out because Amazon's pricing is super weird. So I think for $65, which I paid for it, that's actually pretty reasonable given that, you know, James by himself is about $15, $20-ish. And you also get the cargo, plus you get the circle of track and that kind of stuff. And I know Thomas Wood is quite an expensive toy. But for context, for example, the Thomas Animal Park set, which I reviewed ages ago on my channel, still retails in Australia for about $55. So for an extra $10, you're getting more track, you're getting more scenery because you get the bridge and the tunnel. You're also getting the crane, and you also get like a bigger engine. So I think, and on top of that, you also get exclusive prints on the track as well, which I think is really nice, and on James. So I think for about 65 Australian dollars, I think this is a pretty reasonable price for a Thomas set. In context, do I think it's actually worth that much? Look, I struggle with the non-painted version to say it's worth that much. With the new painted version, if they release it painted, which they haven't yet for some reason, I think maybe for 60 Australian dollars, that's probably the price I'd want to pay for it. And I just think the real problem with this set is actually not the James being unpainted. It's the absolute garbage quality of that Thomas Wood track. We saw the variation in the color of the wood, which I think is kind of less of a problem. But to me, like the way it just feels so cheap and nasty. It's like a really cheap jigsaw puzzle when you put it together. It doesn't feel nice. You don't feel like you're getting a premium product. And I think that's a real problem when this is meant to be a premium product. So I think with the track system the way it is, it's probably not worth that. It's probably really worth like $40. But if it had Thomas and Friends Wooden Railway track, it'll be worth a lot more. So I think I'll let you guys be the judge of what you think of this set. I'm really excited to put it around my Christmas tree at the end of this year and to get more accessories in Thomas Wood, because I keep saying I have got a story plan for Thomas Wood. I just have not had the chance to make it yet. So with that in mind, don't forget to do all those cool things you do on YouTube, and that's all we've got time for. This is Extreme.